Shabbat Shalom, Mishpacha. This is Rabbi Simon Altaf. Can everybody hear me, please? Okay, anybody can hear me or not? Okay, let's try this again. Can anybody hear me now? Okay, good. So I think before you didn't hear me. Baruch Hashem Yahweh. Shabbat Shalom to everybody in the room. And now if you are entering the room at this time, that you know that we are starting at later times now at 10 o'clock Eastern time, opposed to the earlier times which we were no longer on, which was 8 o'clock Eastern time. And this will be the time going forward, 10 o'clock Eastern time, 9 o'clock Central time. So everybody on board with that? I believe that some people probably don't know, and they'll get to the room eventually when they find out that we have the new times. So that's great. Today, as you know, the Passover has started for the lunar calendar. So a lot of people are observing the Passover today, and they started from last night. So this is a week of the Passover. There's no particular Pasha at this point. It's just the Pasha that associates with the Feast of Unleavened Bread. So I thought this would be a good opportunity to cover some of the areas that are associated with this particular festival and the Passover cycle. Now, Passover really, as we probably spoke, and as a translation goes in the Hidden Truths of Drake Scrolls, Passover really means protection more than anything else. So, God passed over. Technically, God protected the homes of the Hebrews. So with that, let me just look at my notes and give you the joke. The joke goes as follows. There will be a meeting of the church board immediately after the service, announced the pastor. After the close of the service, the church board gathered at the back of the sanctuary for the announced meeting, but there was a stranger in their midst, a visitor who had never attended their church before. "My friend," said the pastor, "didn't you understand that this is a meeting of the board?" "Yes," said the visitor, "and after today's sermon, I suppose I'm just about as bored as anyone else who came to listen to this meeting." Okay, so the Widows Fund, we are basically almost there. We're only about $369 short now. We're almost at level which we need to raise up. So we're about $369 short, maybe just another little push and we'll be there. So I'll continue to raise that amount for the necessaries. If anybody wishes to donate during this festival week, you're welcome to do so. So we can add that to the Widows Fund. Toda for those of you who already have donated. Toda, thank you very much for your assistance in the matter. Now, as you know that the Passover culminates a whole theme of the Hebrew people being enslaved in Egypt over a period of time. Obviously that period of time starts with freedom and then ends up into slavery at some point in history, and then at another point then God sends Moses to free these slaves, which after much persuasion to Pharaoh, he doesn't want to let them go. Eventually he does. So really this is absolutely Rabbi Kefa, month of miracles. Now, having said that, we did speak about a miracle, we were talking about last week about miracles using bay leaves. If you remember, I asked you to burn a bay leaf, ask for a miracle, and then I said that see what miracle you get. Don't name the miracle, but just wait and see. I had somebody write into me and said to me that they had done exactly that, and they burnt a bay leaf and they asked for a miracle, and 3 days later they got a miracle. Their miracle, by the way, was that they got a big tax relief. So that was their miracle. Now, of course, everybody will have different miracles. In your case, you all may have different miracles related to yourselves. If anybody did attempt that, by all means, please do share with us so we can see who else able to manage to do that. Apart from that, as I said, that this is the month of protection, month of Passover, and usually when we read scripture, this was a time of the Master Yehoshua's crucifixion, hanging, the death, and the resurrection period. Now, obviously, this is also the month when evil or evil forces in the spiritual world are at the highest as well. So both are true. This is a month of miracles, a month of protection, and a month when evil is at its highest. Now, some people usually at this point of time, I've spoken about this in the past, that at this point of history, at this point of the festival, a lot of families go through a lot of difficulties. You can get difficulties like, spouses having problems with husbands, vice versa, husbands having problems with wives, vice versa, and other things going on. Everything is at height. There's arguments, there's problems, there's all sorts of things that happen during this time. So it's also a time when vigilance is required. Vigilance is very important at this time too, in order that you can get through this period with peace. And peace comes to those who pursue peace. Talking about peace, I'm about to release a new book, and I'm just working on the new name of the book. What that book's name will be, I've kind of sent a manuscript over to Rabbi Kefa to look it up. Have a read of the manuscript and give me some ideas on the names. So the names are still in formulation, and we're not yet assigned a name to it. But in the meantime, yes, this book will be probably one of the most important books that I've released to date for your personal well-beings. Now, I wanted to come back and bring the story back to Lot, one of Abraham's relatives, if you know. And Abraham came out of Mesopotamia, or what was then known as Eastern Turkey. Some of you are told that that was Iraq, which I believe is incorrect. That was eastern area of Turkey, South Turkey, and that's where Abraham's family originated. They came out of there. They were immigrants in that country. Really, they originated from India, and all of Abraham's family originated from India. From India they went to Turkey. From Turkey they went to Iraq. From Iraq they went to Israel. From Israel they went to Egypt, and from Egypt back to back to Israel again, and back and forth like that. That's basically Abraham's journey. This is why everything in scriptures, unbeknownst to most people, actually ties back to India. Not anywhere else but India itself. So having said that, the person who was a ruler, as you know, at the time is mentioned, ruler of the Kasdim. All those stories are linked together, but we're not going to look at all those stories. What I wanted to look at was one particular story of Lot, and one particular story of God Himself, where we often speak about God's will, and everybody talks about God's will, and God wants His will, and so on and so forth. But if you look at it, when God wants to put His will upon the people, He can get His will done. God doesn't force His will on people, but when He wants His will to be forced, He will get His will done. But that's where a lot of people are struggling to understand God. That what is God's will? Well, God's will is that you stay within the parameters of God's given laws and you prosper. That is God's will. And God's will is not that you run around all over the place and damaging yourself and wrecking yourself and your families. That's not God's will. God's will is for you to benefit, prosper in the right framework. But most of the times people mistake that and they do their own thing, and so whose fault is that? Well, it's not God's fault, that's for sure. People have given the opportunity to change or choose good for themselves, because God tells you to choose life. That's God's will, by the way, to choose life. And life means to have abundance in your life as well. So abundance is part parcel of life. Now, we were dealing with karma we were talking about karma because subject arose from just one particular discussion I had, and the subject kind of evolved. And last week we discussed karma with Job's family, and this week I'm going to bring karma back into Lot's family. By the way, Lot also had karma visit him. And how do we see karma visited Lot? Because a lot of people don't really know much about Lot other than that he came out with Abraham, he was related to Abraham, Abraham was kind of uncle to him, and not much is known beyond that. As to people, have all sorts of ideas about Lot and his wife. Why did Lot's wife die? What does it mean that she became a pillar of salt? Because scripture tells you that she became a pillar of salt. And what does that mean, she became a pillar of salt? Anybody wants to hazard that guess? Did she literally become a pillar made of salt? Is that what scripture is saying? Okay, Adelia, yeah, she definitely disobeyed her husband because her husband Lot had told her that not to turn around, because if she did, it will be detrimental to her life. And so the scripture just simply says she turned around, she turned and she became a pillar of salt. But here's my question to you. If she became a pillar of salt, why didn't Lot become a pillar of salt? Because they were in the same vicinity. Lot was in the same place. Why didn't Lot become a pillar of salt? Why didn't his two daughters become a pillar of salt? Anybody ask that question to this day? Why didn't Lot and his family all become pillars of salt? Because they were all in the same area. When they left Sodom and Gomorrah, they were all in the same area. They were not like miles apart from each other. So what does that mean? They didn't turn around and she did, is what Eddie's saying. Okay, Eddie, so they didn't turn around and she did. But when it says turn around, so you're saying they obeyed and she didn't. Okay, but that's fine. This is from a spiritual perspective. A spiritual perspective is fine that one party obeyed what they were told and another party didn't obey what they were told. But my question is vicinity, geographic vicinity. What I'm saying is in the geographic vicinity, they all were in one place. Well, if these let's say if these fires, like these burning, God threw down pieces of whatever it was, they were burning coals or burning something, and he blasted that place with this stuff. So my question is that these burning brimstones that were being blasted down, why didn't they kill, or at least injure, or harm Lot and his daughters? Okay, so Abra is saying maybe the angels protected them. Rabbi Kefa saying protection. Okay, fair enough. So you believe that they were protected. Well, why would they be protected? Do you all believe that that Lot was a right ruling person? It was upright in God's sight. Correct, Adelia. He wasn't. Lot wasn't exactly a upright in God's sight. So why would God protect him if he's not upright in God's sight? And so one of you said that, Tara said that they were told to flee, and they did. Yes, they were told to flee, but if you note, the angels brought them out. They were told, and then the angels brought them out of that city, protecting them whilst they were being brought out. And then after that we read that Lot's wife turned around and she became a pillar of salt. And then next we read that Lot obviously at that point was in the process of looking for a city where he could go to. And we can pick up the story. Let's pick up the story at Genesis 19 and see what exactly was going on. So what we read over here is, let's read what we So we see here now the two Malachim came to Sidon in the evening, and Lot was sitting in the gate of Sidon. And when Lot saw them, he rose to meet them, and he bowed himself with his face towards the ground, and he said, Hear now, my masters, please turn into your servants' bath, and spend the night and wash your feet, then you may rise early and go on your way. And they said, No, but we will spend the night in the open square. But he insisted strongly. So they turned into him and entered into his bath, and he made them a banquet, celebration of unleavened bread at this point. It was unleavened bread, by the way, over there, and baked chametz lechem, unleavened bread, and they ate. Now, before they lay down, the men of the city, the men of Sidon, both old and young, all the people from every quarter surrounded the bath, and they called to Lot and said to him, Where are the men who came to you tonight? Bring them out to us, that we may know them carnally. So Lot went out to them through the doorway and shut the door behind him, and said, Please, my brethren, do not do so wickedly. See now, I have two daughters who have not known a man. Please let me bring them out to you, and you may do to them as you wish. Only do nothing to these men, since this is a reason they have come under the shadow of my roof. And they said, Stand back. Then they said, This one came in to stay here, and he keeps acting as a judge. Now we will deal worse with you than with them. So they tried to stampede against the man Lot, and came near to break down the door. But the men reached out their hands and pulled Lot into the bath with them and shut the door. And they struck the men who were at the doorway of the bath with blindness, both small and great, so that they became weary trying to find the door. Then the men said to Lot, Have you anyone else here? A son-in-law, your sons, your daughters, and whoever you have in the city, take them out of this place. For we will destroy this place, because the outcry against them has grown great before the face of Yahweh, and Yahweh has sent us to destroy it. So Lot went out and spoke to his sons-in-law, who had married his daughters, and said, Get up and get out of this place, for Yahweh will destroy the city. But to his sons-in-law he seemed to be joking in their sight. They mocked him. Now listen to this. Listen to this interesting thing. That Lot basically was already offering his daughters, who were married technically, to his sons-in-laws, to these men, technically what? To rape them. Does that sound like a man right in God's sight? He's offering his daughters for rape? Obviously, you'd have to answer that question for yourselves. So, next we look that the sons-in-laws of Lot basically make fun of their father-in-law and say that this man has gone crazy. What's he talking about? This city is going to be destroyed? No, of course not. So then, verse 13, For we will destroy this place, because the outcry against them has grown great before the face of Yahweh, and Yahweh sent us to destroy it. So it says, Lot went out, spoke to his sons-in-law, of course, who were married to his daughters, and made a joke about him. When the morning dawned, the Malachim urged Lot to hurry, saying, Arise, take your wife and your two daughters who are here, lest you be consumed in the punishment of the city. And while he lingered, the men took hold of his hand, his wife's hand, and the hands of his two daughters, Yahweh being merciful to him, and they brought him out and set him outside the city. Really, at this point, what we are seeing is that the angels grabbed the hands of these people, and they brought them outside the city, powerfully, and through a miracle. It doesn't say they walked, they probably flew, they probably did a quick, beam me up Scotty type of thing, where they were brought very fast from one end of the city to the other end. It says, So it came to pass, when they had brought them out, that he said, Escape for your lives, and do not look behind you, nor stay anywhere in the plain. Escape to the mountains, lest you be destroyed. Then Lot said to them, Oh no, not so my Yahweh. Or in the other Bibles, this word is Adonai. In the original copies of the manuscript, this word Yahweh, but in this word was later changed by the scribes to Adonai, mean my masters. So then Lot said to them, Oh no, not so my masters, or not so my Yahweh. Indeed, now your servant has found favor in your sight, and you have revealed great unmerited favor, which you have shown me by saving my life, but I cannot escape to the mountains, lest some evil overtake me, and I die. So Lot did not want to go to the mountains. He was already out of the city with his wife, two children, two daughters. See now, this city is near enough to flee, and it's a little one. Please let me escape there. Is it not a little one, and my soul shall live? And he said to him, See, I have favored you concerning this thing also, in that I will not overthrow the city for which you have spoken. So it was decided that the city which he had chosen wasn't going to be overthrown or destroyed. It says, hurry, escape thee. Escape there. Excuse me. It says, escape there for which you have spoken. Hurry, escape there, for I cannot do anything until you arrive there. Therefore the name of the city was called Zoar. The sun had risen upon the earth when Lot entered Zoar, so it was already sunrise in the morning. New day had started. Then Yahweh rained brimstone and fire on Sodom and Gomorrah from Yahweh out of the Shemaim. What do we see over here? Two Yahwehs, two personifications of Yahweh, one on the earth, one in the heavens. So he overthrew those cities, all the plain, all the inhabitants of the cities, and what grew on the ground. But his wife looked intently from behind, hesitating, and she became a statue of salt. Excuse me. And Abraham went early in the morning to the place where he had stood before Yahweh. Then he looked toward Sodom and Gomorrah and Amorah, and toward all the land of the plain, and he saw and behold the smoke of the land, which went up like the smoke of a furnace. And it came to pass, when Elohim destroyed the cities of the plain, that Elohim favored Abraham and sent Lot out of the midst of the overthrow, when he overthrew the cities in which Lot had dwelt. And Lot went out of Zoar and dwelt in the mountains, and his two daughters were with him, for he feared to dwell in Zoar, and he and his two daughters dwelt in a cave. Okay, we'll stop here. And so what do we see here? We see lots of things going on over here. And one of the things that we see particularly is that these people were teleported, correct Abrahu? They were teleported very fast out of the city. And they were given favor. Not because Lot was right in God's sight. It is correct that Lot was right through Abraham. Abraham was right in God's sight. It was because of Abraham that Lot was given this protection. This is why he was removed from the city, because Abraham had... Remember what Abraham did? He stood in place of Sodom and Gomorrah, and Sodom and Gomorrah had his relatives there, being Lot and Lot's family. So Abraham interceded for Lot. That's what saved him, not because Lot himself was any right standing. Now the question, what is karma in this particular instance? What karma affected Lot? Can anybody tell me about that? Okay, he lost his wife. But what about the fact that the city he lived in was destroyed? So karma had followed him. How come Abraham, a right ruling man, an upright man in God's sight, how come that he was right in God's sight, and yet still Lot was affected? The law of sowing and reaping is the law of sowing and reaping, by the way, is karma. That is a proper name for it. Unfortunately, Christians are told, various stories in churches that, karma is satanic and is Hinduism and this, that and the third. It's all the bad teachings you get out of churches. So what we see over here is karma affecting Lot. Why did karma affect Lot? Can anybody tell me why Lot had the very place he lived in destroyed? His family had to leave. Then he loses his wife. Then his daughters do the unthinkable. Why all of those things didn't protect? How come Lot wasn't protected from karma? Since Lot was protected from losing his life, but not from karma. So that's a $1 million question that you should be looking at. Karma affects everybody, and it can affect everybody in a negative way, or it can affect everybody in a positive way. Karma will follow you. Doesn't matter what you can continue or claim to be. Doesn't matter if you are upright in God's eyes, or doesn't matter if you are not upright in God's eyes. Karma will follow you from your fathers, from your forefathers. Whatever your forefathers have done, usually from the father's line, it will come into the children. Everybody has to deal with their karma. I don't know, luxury class. I'm not a church goer, so I can't answer that question. You need to address that question to the pastors. So what was the karma? Anybody can tell me a hint? Can anybody tell me why karma affected this person so hard? Just as we saw Job's story last week, how karma had affected him, he lost his family as well. You see the correlation? Job lost his family in the karma, and he was inflicted with the illness. Later he was given a new family. Here, Lot lost his family, and later he likely got a new family, but it doesn't speak about it. Okay, so Eddie is saying that he attached himself to the cruel people of Sodom. Okay, fair enough. There was but see, karma wouldn't affect him there. Karma is not going to affect you for other people being cruel. Like Sodom had, people who were unjust. They were unjust people. They didn't care about justice, the poor, the needy, the traveler. They didn't care about all of that. So punishment came upon them. But their punishment wouldn't be upon on Lot. So Lot would have got karma from something else. So what was Lot's karma for? He did not do the golden rule according to Ohio 5. What is the golden rule? Love your neighbor as yourself. Well, he certainly did. He certainly did, because he invited the angels in when they were outside. Invited them in to eat and stay the night. So I don't think that he fell against the golden rule. Eddie is saying that maybe something his father Harun did. Yeah, it could be something there, Eddie. You're kind of getting close. You're closing up. Because remember, I said that it comes from your forefathers. It's something that descends down the line. Either it descends down the line of your forefathers, or something that you directly did. Either you directly did and you kick-started karma. Now it's going to follow you and your children in your life. And you have to stop it. And last week we spoke about how do you stop karma. Once it kickstarts negative energy, how do we stop this negative energy? It could be in an upright person's life. It could be in a non-upright person's life. How do you stop karma in a non-upright person's life or in an upright person's life? And I spoke about that there is a shalom offering. The shalom offering is given to the Kohen and the gate, and the shalom offering is what stops negative energy of the karma. Now we'll talk about the shalom offering being a lamb, a he lamb, but let's talk about karma itself. In Lot's case, what was the karma? So Eddie gave a clue. Eddie said maybe it was something Haran did, which was one of his fathers. Jacob is saying that was it because when he split with Abraham, he took the best of the plain for himself? Bingo. There you have it, Jacob. You got it. That's what was the problem. His herdsmen started to fight with Abraham's herdsmen. Remember, there was a point that both of those two herdsmen started fighting after all the fact that Abraham brought him out from where he came from, in southeastern Turkey. He brought him as a probably not very old, he probably wasn't grown up completely. He was a young man. He brought him out, and then when he brought him out, he lived with him. He became prosperous. He then had his own herds, his own cattlemen, and there was issue about the pasture, and the two herdsmen started to fight, and the two herdsmen were fighting each other. Then Abraham was the one who interceded again, It doesn't say Lot came to Abraham. It says Abraham came to Lot and said, let us not fight, we are brothers. Why are we fighting? We are relatives. You take the land that best suits you, and I'll take the opposite end. If you go left, I'll go right. If you go right, I'll go left. That's what Abraham tells him. That is when Abraham showed. What did Abraham do? Abraham would bring now positive karma. Positive energy of karma will follow down his line. But what about the Lot? Lot then kick-started negative karmic energy. At this point, Lot was only going to inherit negative karmic energy. And you see it going down his line. You see that Lot loses the land that he chooses for himself. It's completely destroyed. How can that be? You telling me that a righteous man living in a land, suddenly the land is destroyed? That's karma, by the way. What about the fact that his daughters, then impregnate themselves through him? Then the two children that are born are also out of incest. What do? They create all sorts of problems. They're also negative energy. What about the fact that Lot's wife turned and died, became a pillar of salt? And my question was, how can Lot's wife just turn around in the area where Lot was? Because remember, it says the angels transported them swiftly, teleported them out of the city. So they were all out of the city at this point, out of danger. How can Lot's wife suddenly die and these three, Lot and his two daughters, not die? They're in the same spot. It's very simple. The Hebrew tells us that she went back. Don't you people even see it? Don't you guys get it? You read your Bibles and you don't get it. She went back. She didn't stay there. She said to Lot, I'm going back. I'm not staying here. And that's when she died. She was hit by the burning fire coming down when she came into cross contact with it. Then she went back towards the city and she died as a result of that. And by the way, stones, salt is very soft. Salt doesn't make statues, by the way. That's an idiom. It's a typology. It wasn't a literal statue. Salt makes piles. If you ever have salt, and if it's like really dried up, maybe it'll be really hard, but it doesn't make statues. Or a perfect statue at least. So what would have happened is she would have been struck by the brimstone and fire that came down from heaven because she came in the vicinity of it. Why? Because she entered back into Sodom and Gomorrah. That's what happened. She turned away from Lot. She said, I'm going back to my old life. What are you talking about? My sons-in-laws were right. There's going to be no judgment over here, you stupid man. What do you think you know? You think you know more about God than me? So she went back. Typically what happens in most houses today as well. When a spouse has a fight, husband and wife fight about religious ideology, well, one party gets the upper hand. Guess who that party was at that point? So this is a typical family scenario. And so the man, put down, and the woman leaves, and the woman dies in the process. That's basically what happened there. So what is the purpose of unleavened bread now? Because Lot was doing the protection festival of unleavened bread. So when Lot was doing the festival of the protection, God did protect him. God did not deny him. God did protect Lot and his family, brought them completely out of danger. But then wife said, I'm going back. I'm not staying here. Because remember what the angels did not have a debate. They didn't say, hey, let's have a debate today. Hey, let's see who's right and who's wrong. Hey, Lot, you first. Lot's wife, you next. No, they just grabbed their hands and they teleported them. Boom, they're out. And then Lot's wife said, no, I'm going back. I'm not staying here. My son-in-laws are saying that the dad is gone crazy. And maybe they are right. Maybe he has gone crazy. Why would, she's like reasoning now, why would God destroy two beautiful cities? But you see, she didn't realize that karma was upon them. And, for the men to be unjust in Sodom and Gomorrah was just by the by. Whether they were just or unjust, the destruction was going to come. if Adelia is asking a question, if Lot and his family living there, would it be destroyed? Yes, because we're talking about karma over here. Let's say that Sodom and Gomorrah had no unrighteous people. No, everybody was good. Let's just say that. But Lot was dealing with karma. If that was the case, then Lot's family's home would have been destroyed only, not the rest of Sodom and Gomorrah. Exactly the same case as Job. In Job's case, the rest of the city wasn't dealing with karma. Only Job was. So only Job's family was affected. It doesn't say to you anybody else was affected. In fact, it tells you that Job's friends were perfectly fine. They did not have any disease. They came to visit him. Same city, but no problems there. So we can now tell from there, from Job's story, we look back that since Job's city was not destroyed, only Job's home was affected. Therefore, if the karma was only dealing with Lot, only Lot's family, and everybody else was right in God's face, then they would have survived. Only Lot's house would have been destroyed. But here in this particular instance, the rest of them were not right in God's sight. They were very unrighteous people, and so they had to be dealt with. And so this was just a reason where karma comes in and floods, takes away this family, and then Lot's family is cleaned up. And we don't see anywhere where Lot sees this coming. Lot doesn't see this coming. And even when it happens to him, he asks, not to go into the mountains because he's afraid that he might die. And he's given an opportunity that in the city the city is not destroyed, the little city of Zoar is not destroyed. But nevertheless, Lot had to deal with the issues at that point. So what do we learn? Well, let's fast forward now to Pharaoh. Pharaoh was one man that could have said yes to the Israelites leaving in the first day that Moses went to him. But we talk about God's will, and sometimes we make it sound like that God can't have his will, or God just leaves it alone. But if God wanted to have his will, God had his will with Pharaoh. God made Pharaoh not to give in initially at least 10 times. At least number of times that Moses went to him with Aaron, Pharaoh refused. Why? Because God made him refuse. That was God's will, by the way. God can force his will upon you as a robot if he wants to. And there God did force his will upon Pharaoh. So God doesn't force his will on everybody. At that point, God's decision was that I'm doing this to bring out my glory. That was God's purpose of doing that particular will purpose. How come God didn't force his will on the people of Israel when they left? Because at that point, it was no longer necessary for God to display his glory again. Because he could have done it second time. He could have said, you know what, I'm going to put my will upon these people. They're going to enter the land in 3 days. Israel was only a few days away. It wasn't 40 years away. So God could have put his will upon these people and said, okay, you're entered into Israel. Okay, that's it. Now you can do what you want. But he didn't do that. At one point, God forces his will. At another point, God doesn't force his will. He leaves it completely alone when it comes to Israelites. Now, how come? How come God forces his will at one point and not at the other? Do you see the correlation here? Do you see why God did that? But let's just ask the question. Why would God force his will on Pharaoh and not on the children of Israel? Question is why? Why, make Pharaoh do certain things and not make Israelites do certain things that God desires? One versus the other. Eddie is saying that Pharaoh was already set in his ways. He had no hope for change of mind. Okay, but you see what we are saying, Eddie, is that God could have forced him to change if he wanted to. He could have just, first time Aaron went to him with Moses, he could have said, hey Pharaoh, my will on you is this, that you're going to say, yes, the children of Israel can leave. And he would have said, okay. He could have just said to Moses and Aaron, yep, they can leave. They can leave in 3 days' time. You can take them. But he didn't do that. So Adelia is saying that he gave us a will to choose. But he gave a will to choose to Pharaoh as well. Then why force upon Pharaoh? Why? Pharaoh didn't have a will? Or Pharaoh wasn't human? Yemisia saying that he wanted to Israel to see his glory. Well, yes, but that was with Pharaoh. Eddie saying the children of Israel received the good karma of their ancestors. Pharaoh did not inherit God's favor. Well, that's true. But let me tell you what's the central point. Let me tell you what is the central point between the two. And this is something that needs to be looked at. God had a covenant with Israel. God did not have a covenant with Pharaoh. So Pharaoh could have had God's will imposed upon him. Israel could not because of the covenant rights. No, it wasn't because they were children of Israel and magnified through God. No, none of that is applicable. Only thing that's applicable is the covenant. God had made a pact with the children of Israel. He did not make a pact with Pharaoh. If he had made a pact with Pharaoh, he could not go against it. That was the reason why God imposed his will on Pharaoh and did not impose it on the children of Israel. So those are the two main differences, which is kind of interesting again. We learn something new. Covenants last. Covenants cannot be altered. Covenants do not change midway. That's very important. So all of you today who call yourselves redeemed, you are redeemed through that very covenant that God made with Abraham. This is how you become Abraham's sons and daughters. Not by the by, because Yeshua, Jesus of Nazareth, came, many thousands of years later and died. No, none of that applies to you. That is church theology, by the way. That is church dogma. Absolute has no relevance to the covenant. Because Jesus of Nazareth said that I have come to do my Father's will. And he said that he came to inaugurate the new covenant. And the new covenant had new promises. That's all fine and dandy. But it did not say that I have come to die for the children of Israel, because they were not redeemed 4,000 years ago. It didn't say that. So this is the problem. The problem is that a lot of people are stuck in religion thinking that, Jesus did something new. No. He actually was still following the covenants of our forefathers. He was still Torah obedient. He was still obedient to the laws. But a lot of the laws at his time were not being followed. A lot of the Pharisees at the time had started to do what's called traditions. They had, instead of laws, they were following traditions. A lot of traditions. Law had been put to one side. Moses' law had been parked to one side. Okay, that was for a time when we came out. Now we can do our traditions. Today's modern Judaism, by the way, modern Judaism after 70 CE or after the destruction of the temple is totally a new religion. It has nothing to do with Torah, one little bit. It is not the way of Abraham. Today's Judaism does nothing that Abraham did in his time. Because Judaism was created in the aftermath of the destruction of the temple by somebody called Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai. I went to his grave, by the way, in Israel. I have visited his grave. It's in Israel today. So in the north of Israel, Yochanan ben Zakkai is the man, the rabbi, that today's Judaism ascribes his religion to. Not to the God of Abraham, by the way. No, it's not to the God of Abraham. And they definitely don't follow what Abraham followed in terms of what they're supposed to do. It's all traditions today. Everything you see is traditions. Same as Christianity. Christianity is full of traditions and dogma that come from Catholicism and nothing to do with Abraham's ancestors. Did we as Abraham's ancestors keep Easter? Did we celebrate Christmas as a festival? Did we put up Christmas trees? No. These are all traditions that happened later. Did we give bunnies eggs? Do we hide bunnies' eggs? All of these are Easter traditions. No, we did not. So these are all traditions. So all what you see today in churches and homes of churches, the parishioners, is what we call traditions. Traditions, and more traditions. Same with Judaism, same with Christianity. No change. And if you know, so that's just by the by. That's just one example, and there are many examples. The Torah commanded sunrise day. How many people keep a sunrise day today? My goodness, apart from Forever Israel, I don't know anybody who keeps a sunrise day. Most of the people are taught sunset days, another tradition from the Greek era. So, majority of the people today that do what they call religion is a tradition of religion. It's not what God had commanded through His covenant. And if you want to know what God's covenant was, all you got to do is go back to Abraham, the book of Genesis, and start reading from where God came to Abraham and start talking about the covenant with him. Start talking about what? One of the things that God gave in His covenant that Judaism does today, that it does do one part of the covenant, which is to circumcise the males on the 8th day. By the way, they do that part of the covenant. But again, there's a lot of traditions attached to it as well, of how and how not. Our original circumcision wasn't a circumcision of modern age, where the complete foreskin was removed. It wasn't done like that. Our original covenant required us to remove part of the foreskin, not the whole foreskin. Whereas today's circumcision, mainly, they remove the whole thing. It wasn't done like that, by the way. Let me tell you something of interest, of note. Do you know that my son, Joseph, I did his circumcision myself, and I removed part of the foreskin as it was custom in the ancient days? But his mother didn't look after his circumcision, and he didn't become infected. His skin wasn't healing because she didn't know how to look after the circumcision. They were completely clueless. I had told her that what she needed to apply, she didn't do that. Then later she didn't do the things that were necessary, and his circumcision became a problem. I had to then recircumcise him twice. Second time do it again. This time removing more foreskin, because the first circumcision went wrong because of the mother. When mothers don't know how to take care of the children, their circumcisions will go wrong. The skin will attach and it will not come off easily. So therefore it's very important to understand that. Ed is asking that, Rabbi, in this day and age, how do you recommend we circumcise our children? Appointment with doctors and inform inform them how much to take. Yes, you'd have to. These days, you make an appointment with a doctor and you tell them that it's a covenant. I wouldn't say religious. It's a covenant obligation. You tell them that part of your faith requires that your son be circumcised on the 8th day, provided he doesn't have jaundice, he doesn't have any blood diseases, it's not going to hamper his life. In other words, it's got to be normal child. If he's a normal child, a son, then you ask your doctor to circumcise him in the hospital. They can do it in the hospital, by the way, in America from what I hear. And then you tell them that he doesn't need to have the full foreskin removed. They can just remove half of the foreskin. That would be sufficient for his circumcision, by the way. And the doctors can do that. Rabbi Kefa is saying yes, they can. So I believe so. That is the answer to that. And like I said, do not attempt to remove all the foreskin. Only half of it needs to be removed in order to qualify for a correct circumcision. Now, if you do go overboard and you remove all of it, fair enough. You remove all of it if you go overboard. But like I said, halakhically, half of it. Our ancestors didn't remove all of it. They removed half of it. Eventually, in my case, I had to have my son's all of it removed because it was stuck to his, the skin that wasn't healed because it wasn't properly taken care of. It got stuck. So I had to use laser therapy to get it off. The second part of the circumcision had to then have the whole foreskin removed, unfortunately. But that's because, his mother didn't understand what circumcision is, and needs to be, for at least for a week, you need to keep the young lad, clean and cleaned out every day, and apply Vaseline and apply the necessary cream so that it doesn't stick. But that wasn't done because he was afraid she wouldn't touch him there, and it got stuck. It got, jammed. and then we have to then do it the other way. So therefore, when you take your sons, just your sons, not your daughters are not permitted to be circumcised. When you take your young sons to circumcise, make sure that you tell your wives that how they are to take care of them, and hopefully the doctor can advise you to tell you how to take care of the circumcision and make sure it doesn't infect the wound. That's very important. No, Jacob, no, you don't, because those of you who have been completely removed need to do the answer is no, you don't need to do that. The Hatafat Dam Brit is only Hatafat Dam Brit ceremony is drawing a drop of blood only if you were circumcised as a male child at some point in your life and you were never brought to the covenant. In other words, I don't know, you were a Muslim, maybe you were some other faith, but you were never in the covenant of Abraham. If you were born into the covenant of Abraham, you do not need to do Hatafat Dam Brit. You only need to do it if you came out of Hinduism, Islam, or some other religion, Christianity, etc. If you entered the covenant, then yes. If you did not enter the covenant, then no. And it's only one drop of blood. So hopefully that explains that, and I think that all in all, I find that it's extremely interesting to look at the past to understand the present and the future. Now, I did ask, I think there was maybe not enough people in the room earlier, but I'll ask that question again. I said to you last week, how many of you burned a bay leaf and asked for a miracle? I know one person wrote into me and told me that they did, and they received a very nice tax return. Very, very nice tax return that had never happened to them before. So the other people, I don't know. I can tell you. Okay, so Eddie saying that I burned the bay leaf and patiently waiting. That's great, Eddie. By the way, I burned the bay leaf as well. I had a miracle too. So I told Rabbi Kefa that miracle, but I will refrain from discussing that miracle over here. It was a great miracle that I had. I just wanted to prove my point. Like it does what it says on the tin. It does what it says on the tin. Listen to what the Kohen tells you, you will get. But one thing important is don't leave things to chance. Like sometimes you have to specify. So one of the things I recommend is that when you put your goals on your vision board, one of the things I recommend is to write on a bay leaf whatever it is your goal, like summary of the goal, and then attach it to your goal on the vision board. So that bay leaf needs to be kind of like with a sticky tape, stick it on there. So then that's what will take place. The bay leaf will add the power to it. But you got to be precise. Another thing I will tell you today, which I haven't discussed, is timing. What is the timing of something coming to pass? And let's talk about, everybody doesn't want a new car. Let's be fair. Like, everybody doesn't want a new house. Everybody doesn't want a new car. Everybody doesn't want a new wife. Everybody has different requirements. Maybe a person is single, he wants a wife. Maybe a person has no car, he wants a car. Or maybe a person has an old car, he wants a newer car. Maybe a person, has a smaller house, they want a slightly bigger house. So what do you do? Well, here is instructions for you today. These instructions are dynamic. They work. They have been proven to work by myself, by the way. I have proven them to work at least 2 times in 2019. I'm not talking about 10 years ago. In 2019, I made these instructions work to the letter, to the T. You can burn the bay leaf on any day you like. There is no particular day for it. So what you do, you write your goal. Let's say that your goal was that you want a slightly bigger home. Let's say you're in a 2-bedroom house. Or maybe you're renting. And you say, you know what, it'd be nice if I have my own house. So you write. So you can write in such a way. I am thankful to God, or I'm grateful to God that I am living in my new house. Okay? In the present tense. I am grateful to God that I am living in my new house. It is wonderful. Then what about the rest? Well, that could happen in 10 years. 10 years later, but wow, that's too long. Yes, I agree. How do we hone it down? Here is how you hone it down. I am grateful to God, or I'm thankful to God, or you could say I'm so happy and grateful, any of those, that I am living in my new house in the next 160 days. There is your secret. What is 160 days? Well, it's a number of months, right? So let me break it down a bit easier. 180 days. What's 180 days? 6 months. So you set a timeline. You said, in 6 months, I'm going to have my new house. And you're then going to repeat that every day with intent. And you're going to visualize it every day with intent. You're going to get your house in 6 months. I guarantee it. I did an experiment. I did an experiment in 2019, and I showed Rabbi Kefa the proof to the T before the time it happened. And I cannot discuss, all those elements of what I did, but I will tell you that I showed Rabbi Kefa the proof that this is what I did, and this was with days. Why days? Why not months? Why not years? Why not say it will happen in 2019? Why not say it will happen in 2019 before the end of December? Why? Because God works in days. That is something of observation. God does not work in years. You can't say to God, hey, God, in 2022 I want to have this. God doesn't know. God knows what 2022 is, but God doesn't work with 2022. But if you said to God, because this is the way the scriptures work. What do scriptures say? You will be in captivity for 70 days. What is 70 days in scripture? 70 years. So what does God say? In 3 days, Moses, in 3 days, tell the children of Israel to clean themselves up and come up to me. 3 days. What is 3 days? 3 days is 3 days. 24-hour periods, right? So what do you think God works in? Does God say in 20 BCE, such and such time, bring your children of Israel to me? It doesn't do that. So we have to work with God's timeline. God's timeline is days. So you put days on your assignment. Whatever assignment you have, whatever goal you have, whatever desire you have, you want a car, whatever. I am grateful to God that I am driving my new car in the next 60 days. Make it a little realistic. Don't say, in the next 7 days. Because it might happen in the next 7 days if you really intent on it and God really works on your behalf. It may happen in the next 7 days, but be realistic about it. You don't need to set a time that's impossible. Like you can't say, I'm driving my new car in the next 700 days. That's a bit silly. Let's make it realistic. Let's say that I'm driving my new car in the next 180 days or 360 days. Something realistic, something achievable by any person on the planet. That is how goals work. That is where you're actually now putting timeline, urgency, and a requirement before God. And you're saying to God, God within you, the kingdom within you, I am desiring to have this by such and such time. And then God will work on your behalf. Believe you me, God will do it for you on that time period. Earlier than that even. He doesn't have to wait 6 months for you to get your car. He can do it earlier than that. But now you set your agenda. Your agenda is very clear. What is your agenda? My agenda is that God is my maker. God is who made me. I'm connected with God. His kingdom is within me. I'm going to use that for my benefit. Because God told me to choose life. I've chosen life. I want a car with my life as well. I don't want just empty life. I want a car and some bank balance. So I tell God, I want my new car. In the next 180 days or in the next 90 days, I want my car. And so you start working on it. Well, you might say, Rabbi, but how's the car going to come? Where am I going to get the $40,000 for the new car? Well, that's not your problem. That problem is going to be taken care of by God. But what you're going to do every morning, you're going to get up. If you're like me, you get up in the morning at 5 o'clock or earlier, and you're going to start writing your script. And what's your script say? I am grateful to God that I am driving my new car in the next 90 days. Thank you, thank you. That's your script. Second time, I am grateful to God that I'm driving my new car in the next 90 days. Thank you, thank you. Third time the same. Fourth time the same. Fifth time the same. Boom, your script done. That's your top priority goal now. Replace that goal with whatever you desire. If it's a wife, I'm going to have a new wife. I am married to a beautiful woman who adores me, loves me, and I love her in the next 90 days. Thank you, thank you. There you have it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times. Every day, religiously. Boom. Boom in the morning. Boom up, 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 up. Do it. It's your determination that does what you want to do. Then you visualize it. And you speak to this wife of yours that's not there. Hey, honey, could you get me a glass of water, please? You're speaking to your wife that's not there. Hey, honey, let's go out to Walmart together. Somebody will look at you and say, what the hell is wrong with this man? He's gone crazy. what's wrong with him? he's speaking to nobody. No, you're speaking to your wife. You know you're speaking to your wife. Hey, honey, what's for dinner today? You know, that's you. You're going to be speaking to your wife. Yes. People will look around you and say, crazy. No, you're not crazy. You're making it happen. This is how virtual reality comes into reality. Look, everything in our life today, everything that we do today, our iPhones, our planes, our computers, they were imagination at one point. Somebody imagined them. Somebody imagined these things at one point. Guess what? They became reality. It was somebody's vision, somebody's imagination. That's what you're doing. You're doing an imagination. Hey, honey, can you bring me that TV control? You probably have to go and pick it up yourself, right? But you're saying to your honey, hey, honey, do you want to pick that TV control for me? And honey's not there, but you just said it. Just as real life. Hey, honey, could you pass me that control, please? Hey, honey, could you make me that cup of tea, please? And you're talking to yourself. Outsiders will think you're gone mad. But guess what? In that 90 days you specified. In 90 days time, I'm going to have a beautiful wife who loves me and I love her. Guess what? Before that 90 days is up, that woman will be sitting beside you, doing exactly what you asked her. Hey, honey, can you make me a cup of tea, please? Yep, she's making you a cup of tea. What a beautiful, beautiful way to bring it to reality. That is the magic of life that God specifies. I want you to choose life. Life doesn't mean, like living loneliness, living on your own and be miserable all the time. That's not life. Life has a bit more element to it. So I have given you today the actual substance to what you need to do. There is a substance to it. And if you follow that substance, I guarantee it that you will succeed in every area of your life. Guarantee it. You are the only person who can stop yourself from success. You are the only person that can make yourself successful. Put your mind to it. Know exactly what you want. Be very precise about it. I mean, you can change the models. If today you decide you want a Ford Lincoln and tomorrow you decide you want a Mitsubishi instead, that's okay. You can change your mind. But the car is a car. You could still say, I want a brand new car. Still say that. And you sit and you see yourself living, you see yourself in that car, driving that car with the leather seats, and you smell the leather in your visualization, and you still get the car. When you are speaking to your non-existent wife, your airy-fairy wife, you're speaking to her, hey honey, can you pass me the control? Can you pass me some water? Can you pass me some tea? Or can you pass me some coffee? Well, she's not there right now, but she will be. Because you're wearing a ring on your hands that says you have a wife. You put a wedding band on your hand. If you don't have one, go get one. They're not that expensive. Maybe you can pick up one from eBay for $10. Pick up a wedding band for $10 and put it on your finger. Now you know you're married. But the wife hasn't arrived yet. So every day start to do what I told you. And within 90 days, because we said 90 days, when we could, if you're in no hurry, you could say longer, but I'll say put 90 days on it. In 90 days time, I have a beautiful woman who loves me and I love her. She'll be my wife. 90 days. I could tell you right over here. I could put it as a bet that what I say will happen if you follow it through. I bet $1. It was about £1 actually, $1.50, a pound. I had a pound bet with a friend of mine that I will have a job in America for $50,000 minimum. And my friend was like, no way, you cannot make it. Well, you want to go to America from England? What, just get up and go? How can that be? I said, bet. He said, bet. By the way, this was more than 20 years ago. This was back in 1996. 3 months later, I had a proposal of a job in New York, and I was going to go to America for a $52,000 job on a bet. That's how I did it. And I didn't just do that, I did many things that later I realized how they were kind of working for me. And now I come to a precise method. Now I come to a point where I know exactly the steps I need to take, exact steps you need to follow to be successful, exact steps to the letter, to the T, and you can get whatever you want. But you have to be, you have to be serious, you have to be determined, you have to persevere, and you have to be no procrastination. You must believe in that. If you believe in yourself that you are that person, then you can have it too. You deserve it, 100%. And who doesn't deserve a good family? Everybody deserves a good family. And why not you? Absolutely no reason for not to. So with that, I'm going to pass it on to Rabbi Kefa. I'm wishing you well. I love you. I'm going to leave you. Have a great Sabbath, and those of you keeping the festivals, have a great festival week. Protection, love, and happiness. Todah. Shabbat Shalom. Shalom, Shalom.
Chadasha Kohen, if I can be heard, can I get a 1? Chadasha Kohen for your awesome message, which truly resonates with my life, because I put into practice everything Kohen is talking about. But how many of you put up a capital B for basil? How many for B for bay leaf? I'm sorry. How many of you put up a capital B if you burned a bay leaf yet? How many of you? I want to give you a little bit further instructions that Kohen gave me as well. If you burn the bay leaf, how many of you know it doesn't have a particular smell to it? You know what I'm talking about? It has this particular smell that's, my goodness, it almost smells like marijuana. How many of you know what I'm talking about? But it has this unique smell to it. Rabbi Zakari said yes. So what you do after you burn it, make sure you, Kohen has instructed me on this as well, so I'll pass it on to you. Make sure you take the ashes of what's burned in the bay, with your bay leaves, and put them in the earth, in the ground, in your backyard, in your garden, whatever name you give it. Some people call it backyard over here in North America. I don't know what they call it in the UK. I think they call it garden in the UK. But make sure you put put the ashes in your garden. What I've noticed is what it works for me is I actually burn it in the garden. I burned it in the backyard. On the back patio, I always said you can also rub some of the ash leaf on your gold, okay? You can also rub some of it on your gold as well. You can do that as well. So don't discard the ashes in the trash. The ashes are very important as well. As much as Hakohen talked about the aroma, the incense, the smoke that comes up from the burning of the baby. I mean, all that is very, very important. And it has a unique smell to it when it does burn. Really, really does. What if you live in an apartment and you may want every apartment should have like a little patio or a balcony area. You can burn it there. If you live in an apartment, you can put it in your plants. I'm pretty sure you're connected with Mother Earth. You put it in your plants. I'm pretty sure they'll grow a lot quicker as well. At least make them feel a lot better. So burn your bay leaves. Burn them. Burn them. Become expert bay leaf burners and watch your manifestations and your desires. I mean, truly watch them come in, because they will. And they will come in at a speedy pace, because what I'm seeing is no less short of miracles. I know we're in a month of miracles, but who says miracles have to be just for a month? How many of you just counting on miracles for a month? I'm not. I'm counting on miracles 365 days, 24/7. Miracle City is open over here at my base. That's what I'm talking about. 365 days. and what great revelation is coming forward on my end from the Kohen as well, and your end as well, as you heard about the day factor. I think that's my goodness, that's earth-shaking stuff right there. That's really going to really put you in understanding with the creator, source energy, with source power, with the omnipresent, with the omnipresent, the divine presence himself, and I think that's really, really, really important to understand. So keep burning your bay leaves, keep attracting and keep on manifesting the desires of your heart, your dreams, your wants. When you say, Rabbi, I want, well, you can have, Mishpachah. And so, just like I told you, we're in the month of miracles. We celebrate, the festival of protection, the festival of rescue, the festival of freedom, whatever name you want to put on it. In the Passover, some have completed the Passover in unleavened bread. Some of you are in unleavened bread mode right now. I would encourage you all to really find that purpose for yourself during this time. Find, the particular meaning. Understand our history as it's been skewed. He was talking about how history has been changed and painted over the years and has been identified. I mean, come on. None of this is of a shocker to any of you because you understand what you understand what Noah's prophecy was. It's truly being fulfilled, right? You see this. My wife was watching this documentary on Israel. And, I kind of was dipping in and watching it with her a little bit here and there, but, she was saying how, if you notice, you see any video footage of Israel, how any of you notice this, is that they all walking around with guns. Have you noticed that? And it kind of caught my attention last night. It seems like everybody in Israel has a gun. And they walking around with civilians, walking around with guns. Soldiers walking around with guns. And do you notice, can anybody tell me any other country where they walk around like that? Think about it. I mean, I've been in several countries. I mean, think about it. You paid attention to that? That kind of really caught my attention. Everybody is walking with a gun. It's like, and my wife was like, yeah, why, have all of these guns? And I was like, wow, that's a good point. They walk around here with all of these guns. What are they afraid of? Fear. You see, they're afraid of something. What are they trying to protect? Think about it. As we deal with the festival of protection here, do you need to really walk around with a gun? I mean, come on. Even in America, the greatest of all countries, the greatest civilization, in my opinion, arguably, the greatest civilizations that ever existed here in North America now, where you are right now. Do you see us walking around with guns like that? I mean, everywhere you go, do you see a gun? Not here in Texas. I live in Texas, and we don't see guns like that. Prevalent like that. They have them on the gun rack in the back of their trucks. Or we have concealed weapon law where you can conceal it. But, they're not walking around here with guns all, what are you really afraid of? What are you in fear of? You see? So again, it's just a prophecy. Just like Noah talked about. Should be no surprise. Things have changed, have been tainted, have been, rearranged. So be it. You leave them to it. I'm not going to waste my energy on what's going on over there and what they're doing and, on what Judaism has going on. My energy, I need to use my vibration and frequency for other more important things that I have on my vision board. So, my wife asked a really relevant question. She said this. It's a really relevant question. She's like, well, if these are not the real Jews, where are the Jews? I told her, they're all over the world. They're in China, they're all over the world. Philippines, they're all over. And then she asked another question. She's like, well, why are so many people tricked? Why are so many people thinking that these people are the people? That's truly a relevant question. And truly, it's all about, and it all goes back to covenant. At the end of the day, if your answer is covenant, it'll be right probably 90% of the time when it deals with Israel. It's because covenant, everything boils back down to covenant, as I mentioned earlier as well. Boils back down to covenant. At the end of the day, are you in, are you out of the what? The covenant. This is where things lie. So on that note, as we open up our books, And as we go back to the beginning of our books, because that's where I'm going to take you today. Today we're going to go on the beginning, and open up the beginning of our books, because I think it's key for us to look at some very important things. The message says, I try to close my ears to what's going on. No, I wouldn't encourage you to close your ears, because you need to be in tune with what's going on around you, so that you can affect what's going on around you in a very positive way. You can't close yourself off to the world. That's doing you no good. See, when the Master Yeshua, the Master Jesus of Nazareth said you are a light to the world. You see how you going to close yourself up? You just like the Master said. He said, you're going to be a light and put yourself in a closet? God forbid. No, you're gonna be out there for everyone to see. You can attract, those that want to come to the light. Daniel says Abraham was trapped and he welcomed everyone. Daniel, aka Paul Walker, also says it also shows that Israelis today have no shalom. Everyone can gun out of fear. Oh, indeed. And I guess I never really noticed. I noticed when I was watching this documentary with my wife. It was in Chinese, but it was I guess it was trying I think soldiers were coming from China and training in the Israeli army and see doing like a little exchange of military presence and how procedure and how things are done. So I guess they want to see a different side of things. They had Chinese soldiers over there training. I was like, my goodness, my wife was like, these people are in civilian clothes, and are they soldiers? Do they have guns? I was like, wow, that's a good observation, really astute observation. So you're going to run into these, what you see before your very eyes, and I'm so grateful for the exile, being dispersed in these nations. As a Hebrew, a descendant of the Hebrews. It's because, we have such a great opportunity to do marvelous things. I don't know, any of you want to live in a country like that where, people are just walking around with guns exposed everywhere you go, and, they have this, this, I guess you could, like a fog of fear around them, fog of anxiety. And just like Daniel, you were spot on when you said that there's no shalom, there's no peace there. I want to live in a country where there's peace. Where there's, people are happy, people are prospering, you have an opportunity to prosper, you have an opportunity to be happy, you see, but again, it all starts within, it all starts within. So what we see manifested, and what I'm going to talk about today when we look at the Master Yeshua, because we're going to read from the book of John, chapter 9, which I found very interesting, and it's to the point to where discussion I want to talk about today and what came to me during these 6 days of labor, my meditations and my quiet time and my time of journaling was this important point in my studies with the coping with my teacher, because he said something that was very important that really stuck with me, and I wanted to stick with you as well. And Rabbi Brit in the room, I wrote it down. It's this statement right here, or phrase: you make what you mold. You mold what you make. Did anybody understand what I just said? You make what you mold, and you mold what you make. When right now you look at your life right now, you're made, not in the organized crime sense. Because I like to watch those gangster movies. They say, oh, no, can't touch him. He's been made. You know how they say that? He's a made man. Anybody know about them gangster movies when they talk like that? And the mafioso, the mafia, they talk about, he's a made man. So you're made right now. All of you in this room, you're made. When we go back to Bereshit, we look at Genesis. And the first verse says, in the beginning, Elohim powers created the Shemayim and the land. And the land, or the earth, as they call it. In the King James Version, is written like this: in the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth. The earth is already created, right? It was already, you're made, right? You are, right now, you're made. As you come from this earth, you're part of it, part and parcel of the earth. You're made. So what you need to understand today is being made. What have you what have you made? Because now you being made, now you make. You see? It's like something that's passed on from father to son, mother to daughter, mother to daughter. It keeps going on. So you keep making. You're made, right? But you keep making. So right now, what you need to ask yourself is, what have I made? You see, because what you mold is what you make. And just like I received the instruction this week from the cooking, I mean, you just can't explain it away as, oh, okay, that happened because of some kind of outside force. No, it's the energy within, your frequency within, your vibration within. You can mold. When you look at your made situation right now, it's because of what you molded, or lack thereof molding. Do you all understand what I'm talking about? Many times we want to take it and we want to explain it away. We want to point the finger outside of ourselves. When truly, because you are a complete being, you're complete. Believe it or not. That's another misnomer that religion wants to continue to put you in a state of incompleteness. Oh, you're not complete. We must continue to work on you because you're not complete. Well, I'm here today to tell you that you are complete. And you have every component within you in your completeness. That you can continue to complete and continue to make and continue to evolve. Do you understand? You don't have to go to Walmart and search for it. You don't have to go to the mall and purchase it. It's already within you. Mishpah. Surprise, surprise. Your work is done. Your completed work, you're made. But here's the important part of the aspect of it. See, there's the made side. I guess you can call it the M&M. I love chocolate, and I actually love M&Ms, the peanut M&M version. I really love those as well. You could call it the M&M side. You're made, but also at the same time, in your makeup, you continue to mold, or you continue not to mold. But I can explain to you and tell you this way. At the end of the day, you're molding. You are molding. Whether you see it or not, right now you're molding. You're molding positive or you're molding negative, but you're molding. You're molding good or you're molding bad for yourself, but you are molding. How many of you understand that you have the ability to be able to shape and mold and create and manifest what you do that? I don't do it for you. I can assist you, but at the end of the day, you have to mold it. You can't blame it on the pastor. I can't blame it on Haiti. I can't blame it on the ex-wife. I can't blame it that the dog at the Pharaoh ate my work. No, I do the molding. I mold. I shape my world. Wow. Think of that. Do you understand the awesome responsibility that you have? You have that responsibility to mold, to shape, to manifest. You have that ability. You have that responsibility. You have the capability to do these things. You're capable. You don't have to look outside. Too much energy is wasted on many folks looking outside of themselves. Thus, meaning other folks are molding them. How many of you at one time were molded by somebody else? Oh, but by what they told you, what they said actually shaped your very existence or actually manifested something to your life because you took what they said because they said, oh, pastor said I'm going to only do this. Oh, the doctor said I'm this. Oh, my wife said I'm only going to be this. Well, mama said I'm only going to be this. My father said, do you understand how other people can mold you? How many of you at one time were a victim of being molded? Somebody else molded you. You didn't mold yourself. You know how people like to say, oh, he's just a chip off the old block. No, I'm not. I make block. I make my own bricks. I burn my own bricks. You know what I'm saying? I'm no chip off nobody's block. You create, you make your block. You manifest your block. You mold. I don't even, create, man, I'm not going to use that terminology. That's that law of attraction, mumbo jumbo. Creation is done. It's done. Now we just got to mold what we want. Right? Look at it from let's look at it from a historical point of view. How were human beings formed? Wow, what does our books tell us? That we were taken from where? From the dust of the ground, from Mother Earth, weren't we? Weren't we formed? Come on, Miss Bahar, please don't let just me be understanding this stuff. You were taken from the dust of the ground. You were formed in the images of source energy, source power of God. You were formed and molded. And then what happened? You were animated by a breath of the very essence of life itself. Beautiful. But even the Creator, source energy, divine presence, molded human beings, formed them. So what business should you be in today, Ms. Bahar? You should be in the business of molding. Don't explain it away like, oh no, that's just what, the universe, God wanted for you. No, you can mold that. Look at Abraham did it in Hakoin's lecture. Abraham did it with Lot. He molded that situation. No, you're not gonna kill everybody. There's got to be somebody righteous there. Let me mold. And then guess what? It would mirror Abraham. And guess who merited off of that? Lot merited off of that. You have the ability within you to mold. And see, so what you make is what you mold. And what you mold is what you make. M&M. You can look at it and call it the M&M. What you make is what you mold. What you mold is what you make. So here's the question I have for you today. What are you molding for yourself right now? Because that's going to be your makeup as we speak right now. April 20th, 2019. You have to mold it. You want it? Mold it. You need it? Mold it. You desire it? Mold it. You dream it? Mold it. Well, everybody says that you have to look at it this way. Are you going to roll with what everybody else is saying and can let them continue to mold you? Or are you going to mold yourself? And what you want to be, what you desire, what you dream, what you want, what you need. You mold, make miracles. Triple M. M squared. Mold, make, miracle. Mold, make, miracle. This is why miracles for me are 365 days out of the year. I anticipate, I expect miracles. Every day. 3M. Don't go, oh, well, Rabbi said go out and buy the 3M tape and then my life will change forever. No, the 3 M's. Mold, make, miracle. Mold, make, miracle. It's a good formula. And you can take it and it will bring you into abundance. Infinite abundance. Abundance in every aspect of your life. Regardless of what you desire, what you aspire, what you want. You can mold it. You don't have to look at the situation as status quo. Well, status quo is this, Rabbi. Medical books say this, Rabbi. My pastor says this, Rabbi. Mama said this, Rabbi. So what would they say? What do you want to mold? What do you want to make? And then you can do it. It's within you. You're complete. It's within you. You already have it within you to do these things. Maybe you didn't understand it was within you. Maybe you had no clue you had the ability to do this. It's within you. You come from Mother Earth. You are a product of Mother Earth. How many of you believe that right now? that you are a product of Mother Earth. Anybody? Put up a capital G if that's you. Do you believe I'm a product of Mother Earth? I am a product of Mother Earth. Think about what I just said there. It's heavy. Might be hard on you to comprehend that. It's not for your responsibility, by the way. You're a product of Mother Earth, Mishpachah. You come from this very dust. I tell you, I've been digging up a lot of dirt. You're getting dirt, digging. And I just noticed the color of dirt. You see that watching the different colors. Array of different colors of dirt that they have. I've yet to find a white dirt, by the way. but there are many other dirt. There's all kind of shades of brown kind of dirts. I see this as I'm digging in the earth here in Samuel, Texas. As I go by and purchase dirt from these quarries and stuff. You see all kind of different kinds of dirt. Like, wow. I really have a respect for dirt now. My sister used to always tell me, God made dirt and dirt don't hurt. Because she used to make these, I used to have to eat these dirt hamburgers she would make growing up. We be playing restaurants. I was like, man, you want me to eat that? God made dirt, dirt don't hurt. We come from dirt. We come from earth. So it's important for us to connect back to earth. And this brings us to our readings, and we're going to get it today with the Master Yeshua, which is so vital and important for our lives. So that we can take off the blinders. Your message says, is the dirt black there? The dirt there is black, but it's all shades of brown is what I'm noticing. Dark brown, light brown, tan, you know what I mean? These kind of colors. You see what I mean? They're like shades of browns is what I'm noticing in my layers of breaking down the earth. How many of you have ever been to the Grand Canyon? You can see that as well. When you look at the Grand Canyon, you can see the layers of sediment. You see the different layers of different colors that they have there? It's like a rainbow spectrum. It's really beautiful, right? Of these different colors of browns. Which is representative what? Of the earth as well, isn't it? When you look at the earth, don't you see a representative of browns? Huh? In people? You see the same kind of rainbow. Same thing because we come from the earth. It's very important that you understand that. Mother Earth. And I'm going to continue to talk about Mother Earth because I think it's important that in our connectivity that we connect, you see. When we connect back to where we truly, I call it the default setting for all humans. If you listen to YouTube and you're here to get some kind of religious mumbo jumbo, you're in the wrong place. But if you're here to connect back to source energy, to Mother Earth, then you're in the right place for connection, for that kind of connectivity. That's better than 5G. Because what I'm seeing this stuff, I'm witnessing, I'm a witness, I'm a watcher. And I'm so grateful, and I give gratitude to Cody for allowing me to be a witness and a watcher, even in his own life. I'm seeing it. He's showing me the evidence, and hey, Mother Earth will never fail you. The perfect law will never fail you. Universal law would it will never fail you. It won't fail you. And I'm seeing mold, make, and then I'm seeing the miracle. And this made man, he's molding, he's this made man, and then when you see miracles behind it, the 3M, or the M&M, you make, and then there's the miracle will come, because you are made. But you see, that's the point that we need to get to. We can't put the cart before the horse. You must understand you're made already. You're already made. You're a made man. You're a made woman. You're complete. You're whole. So many times, how many of you have been conditioned to think that you're incomplete? Religion will do that to you. Sometimes mama's theology will do it, daddy's theology. You're incomplete. You're never going to be nothing. You're not. But you're complete, Mishpachah. I'm here today to tell you that you are complete. You're completed. Now, what are you going to do with yourself in your complete form? That's the next step. That's the molding process that you continue to do throughout your whole life. How many of you understand you have the ability to be able to mold and shape not only yourselves, but people outside of yourself. Do you believe that? That you could mold somebody else? I had a great discussion with Hakeem about this, and I'm like, wow, that's intriguing. That's to be able to mold somebody outside of yourself. Listen, how many of you paid attention to Hakeem's lecture? Isn't that what the God of Israel did to Pharaoh? Think about it. So, do you, in your I am mode, have the ability to mold somebody outside of you? Where you can actually mold them into what you want them to be in your perfect world, in your manifestation, in your manifesting, in your attracting. You understand what I'm saying? That's awesome. Think about the power that you wield, that you have. But you have to have proper mindset. You have to not be under mind control, but using the mind as a wonderful tool that it is in your state of consciousness, in your I am state. You understand? This is why I must talk to you first about understanding that you're made. You're complete. You're whole within yourself. Question is, what are you doing on the molding front? You're complete. Okay, yeah, what do I do as this complete being, Rabbi? That's the question that you need to be asking yourself right now. And not, what do I do? What have I already done? How many of you look at back and you're like, Rabbi, you're right. I've molded some bad situations for myself. Or I let others mold some bad situations for myself. I didn't want to mold that. I didn't desire that for myself. Others desired that for me. And then because I allowed that I let it fester. I let it marinate. Another M word. I guess we're going thorium today. I let their thoughts marinate within me before I knew it. I had to manifest. And what? I had the manifestation of what they said about me, even though I didn't think it was true. But because I let it marinate within me, it became real life, true to life, true to life. The question I have for you this day is, what kind of life do you want for yourself? Do you want a life in blindness? Because let's face it, majority of the human beings are just blind to life. Master Yeshua, he gives us a great story about this. He gives us great history about this in the book of John, chapter 9. We're going to read the whole chapter. I think this is important for us to look at. How many of you want to live a blind life? I tell you, I don't. I want to live a life in HD quality. 5G, 10G transmission and receiving. Hey, my goodness. I go and mention this as well. How many of you don't want a life where you can have... Come on, let's talk about real life here. Not none of this mumbo-jumbo stuff. Number one, to have a really good life, you're going to need a car, right? You're going to need a house, some shelter. You're going to need a refrigerator with food in it. Come on, let's talk about life. Let's talk about life. Let's vision life as you have it unadulterated, laid out before you today. April 20th, 2019. Let's talk about life. What kind of life do you want for yourself? Do you want a life with a car? Life without a car? You want a life with a house? Life without a house? You want a life with a checkbook with a healthy balance? Or you want a life with a checkbook with negative balance? Overdue? Charges? Overdraft fees? Come on, man. This is life that I'm discussing before you today, and it's happening to people every day. The day they wake up, they go to bed. The Master Yeshua said, I came so that you could have that life, and that life what? More abundantly. The Master Yeshua, he came to bring and to give life, to resuscitate. Let's put it in medical terms, to resuscitate. The Master Yeshua came to give CPR to the earth, to Mother Earth. Think about it, for those of you who are medically inclined. He came and he was doing the compression, boom, to Mother Earth. And then now Mother Earth can breathe again. Look at Shem. Now Mother Earth has life. Pretty cool analogy, right? Let's talk about life for a minute. What kind of life do you want for yourself? That's the question. So then you follow up that question, okay, well, what am I molding for myself? And all you have to do is look at your life today. And your molding is laid out before you like a 7-course meal. It's there. It's in your face. That's what you molded. You made this. Because you're a made man. You're a made woman. You made this. You molded this. You made this miracle, or lack thereof. You made this manifestation, or lack thereof. Well, Rabbi, I'm not manifesting anything. Well, what are you molding? You see? These are the kind of questions that you need to ask yourself. Stop on these M's today. M and M and M and M. And M. See, so let's throw another M in there. A lot of people get mad. And they get frustrated and they give up because, well, everything that I'm molding is negativity. My life is negative, blah, 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 blah. You have to go through and start checking everything out. You do a diagnostic check on yourself. Rabbi Zechariah teach you about some diagnostics. You're going to go through and you're going to test every one of your systems and see where there's a breakdown, where there's failure, and then fix it. Change out some plugs. Maybe you need to arrange some things in your life. And this is what the Queen is here for. See, maybe you're looking at, oh my goodness, I have some negative karma in here I need to deal with. You have to do a diagnostic check because you're already complete. But there may be some wiring that's not right. And how many of you know, after many years of this conditioning, you've been kind of rewired, right? You see, you've been rewired in the wrong way. Now you're coming out of it, you see. And it may take some time as you go through your diagnostics. You're checking out your systems. You're realizing, okay, yeah, I need to fix this. This needs to be, that's where the breakdown is happening. I'm listening to everybody else. I don't mold anything for myself. I just take the words that other people tell me, and then I marinate on them. And before you know it, I done made this hot mess. Instead of a wonderful miracle, I have a hot mess. I have a mess and not a miracle. So I'm mad. All these M words today. But this is what's going on. Come on, this is life. You're made, Mishpachah. You're made. You're complete. You are made. Now, what are you molding? If you have to ask yourself what are you molding, all you need to do is just begin to play your life right now. And that's going to tell you what you've molded. What have I made? If I'm made, Rabbi, what have I made? I can't answer that. You can. Because what you made is laying out right before you. Don't be blind to it, Mishpachah. Don't be blind to it. If you can't be real with anybody, you be real with yourself. This is not a room or a forum where you're going to come in and get goosebumps. He made me feel good today. No, this is about getting real. This is about not getting goosebumps, but pinching yourself. You know how sometimes when they say, this can't be real, let me pinch myself. You seen the movies where you pinch yourself? I do that sometimes too. I think to myself, wow, this is just amazing. Miracle. You got to pinch yourself. This is real. I felt that pinch. I felt the pain of the pinch. This is real life here, Mishpachah. You're not living in La La Land no more. You're not waiting for a by and by. This is real now. Now. You want to live now. I know you do. And if you don't, then you should. You should add on your. You should definitely add that to your aspirations. You say, I want to live life now. Hey, let's go ahead and look at the Master Yeshua. This is a brilliant story, I tell you. It's a great miracle that had taken place amongst all the many miracles that the Master Yeshua did. We look at Bereshit, we look at Genesis, we're going to look at John chapter 9. And again, I read from the Hidden Truth of Great Scrolls. If you don't have the Hidden Truth of Great Scrolls, I would encourage you to purchase them. You can purchase them on Lulu.com, hardback form, or you can purchase them on Amazon. And Hakohin did send me a picture. I mean, Amazon has truly came through and made the correction, so you can buy your Hidden Truth of Great Scrolls with no problem whatsoever. The print is marvelous. It's brilliant. They did a great job. Thank you to Amazon and Jeff Bezos and his crew. Thank you. They did great work. So you can purchase them there as well. Again, we read from John chapter 9. And as Yeshua passed by, he saw a man which was blind from his birth. And his disciples asked him, saying, Rabbi, who did sin, this man or his parents, that he was blind, that he was born blind? And Yeshua answered, neither has this man transgressed nor his parents, but that the works of Elohim should be made manifest in him. Wow, this is good stuff. Look at verse 4. Now, let me stop right there real quick. Now, you see, the question that the disciples asked is the same religious mumbo-jumbo you get today. And believe me, I've heard the stories even today as I take care of special children. The thing religion will come up to you in the face and say is this. I don't know how many of you heard it. They're going to say the same thing. They're going to say the same as in verse 2 of John chapter 9. And the disciples asked him, saying, Rabbi, who did sin, this man or his parents, that he, meaning the child, was born blind? The first time that someone has any kind of deficiency, the first thing, how many of you heard it before? People have said it maybe outwardly, or you know they're thinking it. The first thing they go, well, man, there must be some sin in that person's life for this baby to come out this way. Ooh, we were in the mall, and I'm pushing a wheelchair of this special needs thing. And this Christian lady comes up with her little pamphlets, and she says, oh, we need to pray for you. He's talking to the mother. Oh, we need to pray for you because there's some sin in your life for this baby to come out this way. How many of you heard things like this before? And they'll boldly come out and say it just like this. Well, who did the sin here to where this baby had to come out, or this baby was born with no sight, or deformed, or no one arm missing, or deformed body? Oh, there must be some sin in there. You said you got to get rid of the sin. This is the first thing that they tell you. See, this is religious mumbo jumbo. This is the religious mindset. Is it already judgmental, saying somebody has sinned, somebody has fallen short, and this baby is your punishment? This is what they think. And they come out here, and they're not ashamed of it either. Not ashamed of it either. But listen to what the Master's saying here. Let's continue to read on. Because he's correcting his students. He's correcting his disciples. He's correcting his rabbis. He said, the Master Yeshua answered in verse 3, he said, of John chapter 9, he says, Yeshua says, neither has this man transgressed, nor his parents, but that the works of Elohim should be made manifest in him. Now, this is the way I look at it. And I've had discussion with Hakohin about this as well. Is that when you have the opportunity to take care of someone that they call special needs, I get blessed. I get abundance out of being of service to them. And I don't serve them. They actually serve me. Do you understand what I'm saying? It's a beautiful thing when you begin to see it this way. When you're able to help someone that can't help themselves. You're able to change someone's diaper who cannot change themselves. They can't get up and go to the bathroom. You help this person walk when they cannot walk. Well, what they call it total assistance. When someone cannot do for themselves and you're able to do for them, provide great service, oh, that's the blessing. The children actually bless me. I don't bless them. I provide a service, but they keep me humble, they keep me meek, they keep me lowly. And then you know what the God of Israel does? You know what that does to my vibration? You know what that does to my frequency? That raises it up. Do you see it, Mishpachah? These children, people are a blessing. Blind, deaf, one arm, can't walk, can't talk. They're a blessing. Truly. They've been put on this earth as a blessing. For you and I, human beings. Luxury class, they help build our character too. Oh, indeed. And they help put life into perspective for you. You think you have a worse life? You think you're depressed? You think you have problems? Go take care of this. Go feed this person that can't feed themselves. That has a tube in their stomach. And they can't feed themselves. And they're waiting on your assistance to help them eat and survive and get sustenance. Oh, you'll count your blessings then, won't you? Really quick, won't you? You see? Hakoni said one movie to watch is The Upside. Oh yeah, indeed, Hakoni. One movie to watch. You can find it on Netflix. It's called The Upside. Good movie. Watch it. Puts things into perspective. Same thing that the Master Yeshua was saying. So that the manifestation, what do you want to manifest? You want to manifest peace? You say you want to manifest love. Well, go over there and change that person's diaper who cannot change the diaper for themselves. Hakoni said you will give thanks for your life after that when a person cannot do anything for themselves. Oh, or himself, herself. Indeed, Hakoni. Truly, they are a blessing for you. Yet, I hear people come up to the wheelchair of these special children. Oh, poor little child. Are you kidding me? Don't ever say that again. I'll tell them, like, don't you ever say that poor child. You say poor you. Because you're blinded to the fact. You got blinders on, you can't see. Truly, life presented to you. And truly, count your blessings. Truly giving thanks that you see this person in what you consider a debilitated state. Shouldn't that it should give you an outpouring of what? Humanity, of love, of compassion. And you want to reach out, help, and not condemn. Oh, you cursed. This is why you had this child like this. Are you kidding me? But that's what religion will tell you, up and down the block. And they're ashamed of they come up to you and tell you to your face. Oh, we need to pray for you because you're cursed. You've done something wrong. My goodness. But that's what you get. You get that. Today, 2019, same thing. These are the so-called wise people. The so-called believers in God. Well, you can take your God and you can go put him in the trash, lady, because I don't want none of that God. It's going to be judgmental. Condemning. Are you kidding me? Please, man. Keep that God. I don't need that in my life. And I don't need that in my atmosphere. I don't need that in my earth. But notice, Rabbi Yeshua's students did the same thing. And they're questioning, you can see their ignorance. Oh, well, who's the sinner? Do you see the mindset? Oh, who's the sinner? Is it the parents? That this child had to come out blind and live a life of blindness, being able to see? Who did the sin? This man or his parents? Now, how could the man say he was born blind? Oh, yeah. This is of the devil. And then just mumbo jumbo. You see why you need to run away from religion as quickly as you can? Because that ideology, that mindset will get inside of you. And before you know it, becomes a part of you. And it molds you. And before you know, there's some sinners over there. This is why these babies are coming out all deformed. This is why they're blind. This is why they're not coming out complete and whole as they think. Verse 4 of John chapter 9. The Master Yeshua, the Master Jesus never goes on to say, listen to what he says. We must work the deed of him. He said, listen to what he said. We must work the deed of him that sent me while it is daytime. The night comes when no one can work. Look at verse 5. Look at 5. As long as I am in the world, I am the light of the world. Look at verse 6. And when he had spoken thus, listen to what he did. Listen, I want you to see this action. and when he had thus spoken, he spat on the ground. Where did the Master Yeshua spat, saliva, secretions? He spat on the ground and made clay of the spattle. And he anointed the eyes of the blind man with the clay. Seems to me that the Master Yeshua, Jesus of Nazareth, was doing some molding. When we talked about mold, he had to mold the whole situation here. Look, he's physically doing some molding. There's molding going on here. Do you see it? But also he had to mold the mindset of the students as well. Because the first thing that came to the student's mouth is sin. In seeing a blind man. Oh, is this man the sinner? Or is it his parents? Which one, Master? Come on, man. So the Master has to begin to remold. And this is what I'm telling you today. You may have to break some molds that you already have out there. Break them. And start afresh and start anew. And mold the situation. Spit to your earth. Put some spittle to your earth, Miss Maha. That's what you may need to do. Put some spittle to your earth. So the Master goes on. Look at the action that's taking place here. He spat on the ground and made clay of the spattle, and he anointed the eyes of the blind man with the clay. And he said to him, go, wash in the pool of Siloam, which is by reputation sin. And he went his way, therefore, and washed and came seeing. So the man washed off the molded clay that was placed on his eyes. He went and washed. Followed the directions of the Master Yeshua. The Master Yeshua said, hey, now go and wash. Oh, this is pretty unorthodox. This is outside of the norm. Now, come on, Mr. Bob. Look at the situation today. Burning bay leaves, this is outside the norm. This is unorthodox. This seems like some kind of magic. You spitting on the ground and taking this stuff, putting it in the man's eyes. This is very unorthodox. How come you just can't touch his eyes and then he's healed? Blah, blah, blah. Bada boom, bada bing. This is another principle that I want you to see as well. Is that sometimes when these miracles come from your molding, when you see the miracles, because you are made, and you see these miracles happen, and you see the manifestation come about, it's going to come in the most unorthodox ways. Anybody ever dreamed of, okay, yeah, then now he's going to spit on this, and he's going to make this like clay. He's going to be playing with Play-Doh down here. We talk about the Messiah. He's making clay. He's spitting and making clay, and he's putting it in man's eye. I mean, come on, man. Some folks will look at this and say, what is this? You see? What is this kind of magic going on over here? When he's spitting in he's spitting on the ground and make mud, and then he's going to put it in his eye, and then the man's going to be able to see. That's black magic. No, he should have just prayed. As the Messiah, he should have got on his knees and prayed, and then the lightning would have came down. And you see, it's the mindset, how people perceive things. You need to come out of your perception, what you've been conditioned to think is how situations need to come about. You need to totally start thinking outside of the box. Imagining, envisioning things happen. It don't matter. Source, whatever source. It doesn't matter. Spitting in the can, spitting, making mud puddles, mud pies, whatever works, works. Too many of us are missing our manifestation. We're missing our miracle because because they come in unorthodox kind of ways. Ways that you think is just strange to you. Outside of what you may perceive as normal. I mean, let's face it, at the end of the day, when you boil it, the Master Yeshua was making mud pies. I mean, he made mud pies. Put it in the man's eyes. Told the man to go wash. And now the man can see. He's blind from birth. Blind. He went and washed and came to see. Look at verse 8 of John chapter 9. And the neighbors, therefore, and they which were before had seen him, that he was blind, and said, is not this he that sat and begged? Some said, this is he. Others said, he is like him. But he said, I am he. Is that I am should be in your affirmations, in your journal. I am should be everywhere. I am he that was blind, and now I see. This man come up with a little rap song, little rhyme song. I am he that was blind and can now see. Some of you may be able to take this and run with it as well. I am he that was blind, and now I can see. Look at verse 10. Therefore, they said to him, How were your eyes open? And he answered and said, A man that is called Yeshua made clay and anointed my eyes. What did he say? The man said he made clay. Baruch Hashem. Where are you from? Clay. Remember I talked about your connection with Mother Earth? It's Mother Earth that's going to heal you. The Master Yeshua could have done anything he wanted to do. But the man said he made clay. He made clay, Mishpachah. I want you to connect back to Mother Earth. The sooner you do, the better for you. As being. Your human side may not want to connect back with Mother Earth. But your being side needs to connect with Mother Earth. You must connect back with Mother Earth. You can make clay. I'm telling you this day, make clay. You're made. Now you need to make clay so you can mold clay. How many of you this day want to see? You're tired of being blind. I'm not saying literal blind, but in other aspects of your life, you're blinded. You got blinders on. And you can't manifest. You can't make, and you're mad. You can't make. You can't manifest. You don't see miracles. Because there's areas that you're blind. You got the blinders on. You need to make clay. The son of Aaron is teaching you how to make clay. You know what making clay? Well, Rabbi, give me an example of how the Kohen is teaching me how to make clay. He's telling you to get up early in the morning. That's making clay. He's telling you to burn bay leaves. That's making clay. He's telling you to write in your journal. You're making clay. How many of you in this room want to make clay? You say it. Say, I want to make clay. I am making clay. You say it. You own it. You need to make clay, Mishpah. The man, as a witness, as a watcher, he says, what does he say? He said, he told me to make, he said, this is the man Yeshua. He made clay. Verse 11. He answered and said, A man that is called Yeshua made clay and anointed my eyes. And said to me, Go to the pool of Siloam and wash, or sent. Go to the pool sent and wash. And I went and washed, and I received my sight. Then they said to him, Where is he? He said, I know not. They brought to the Pharisees him that aforetime was blind. Oh, here it goes. Get juicy here. They brought him to the Pharisees, blind man. Aforetime. That aforetime blind man. Look at verse 14. And it was the Shabbat day when Yeshua made the clay. Wow. Wow, Mishpah. That's another part to add to the rhyme. And it was Shabbat day that Yeshua made the clay. Wow. This is Shabbat. Healing on the Shabbat. Don't get no better than that. Miracle on the Shabbat. Don't get no better than that. How many of you jumping for joy? I'm the biggest cheater. I'm jumping for joy. I'm so happy for the man. On the Shabbat. Healing. Hallelujah. I'm telling you, that's good stuff, huh? That's good stuff. So we read right here on the Shabbat day. And it was a Shabbat when Yeshua made the clay and opened his eyes. Wow. How many Shabbats? Shabbat after Shabbat after Shabbat, and your eyes continue to be open. you realize. You see, some of us may be blind in ignorance. We're blind, but we don't know we're blind until we realize we're blind. You see, until our eyes are open, and until clay is made. You see, I love that verse 14 of John chapter 9. And it was Shabbat day when she made the clay and opened his eyes. Look at verse 15. Here it goes. Here it comes. Then again, the Pharisees also asked him how he had received his sight. And he said to them, he put clay upon my eyes. I washed and do see. Cut and dry, plain and simple. Cut and dry, plain and simple. Now, I want you to pay very close attention to this marvelous miracle. Cut and dry. Did the man explain to the Pharisees? Yeah. I went and I read the Hardback, and I did all of these different prayers, and I bowed down 3 times, and I did all of these, jumped through all of these bells. No, I did what the man said, boom, bada bing, I have my sight. Plain and simple. Verse 16. Therefore said one of the Pharisees, this man is not of Elohim, because he does not guard the Shabbat. Oh, here we go. Oh, here they come, Mishpah. I told you they come, the religious crowd. Here come religion in all its forms. Therefore said the Pharisees, this man is not of Elohim, because he does not guard the Shabbat. Others said, how can a man that is a transgressor do such miracles? And there was division among them. Wow, see, that's what happens, right? Division amongst the camp. Because you're not following status quo. But at the end of the day, come on, let's look at life. This man was blind. Do you notice the Pharisees weren't jumping for joy, giving thanks to Elohim that this man was cured? This man that was once blind, his whole life he's been blind. Now this man can see. Oh, hallelujah. No, that's not. Wait a minute, you done broke the law. You broke the law. Blind man that can see, the law has been broken, because this man is healing on the Shabbat. Oh my goodness. This man is of the devil. Get thee behind me, Satan, and all that mumbo. So the verse 16, there's division amongst the camp, amongst the Pharisees, amongst the religious versus those. You see, not everybody was just so religious amongst the Pharisees. They had some that actually thought with their minds. How can a transgressor do such miracles? If he's such a sinner, how can he do this great miracle where this mind can, this blind man can now see? Look at verse 17. They say to the blind man again, what do you say of him, that he has opened your eyes? The blind man that now can see, he said, he is a prophet. But the Yahudim did not believe concerning him. There it goes. There it goes. Because why? It doesn't meet their mold. What has religion molded? They have molds in place, and believe me, they're not trying to break them. Either you conform to their mold, or you're seen as an outcast. You're seen as a transgressor. You're a sinner, and you're going to hell. How come stuff is real in 2019? I don't follow soccer that much, or I don't know if it's soccer. No, it's rugby. They call it football down in Australia, I guess. But how many of you heard of that Australian player that was sacked because he said that all homosexuals are going to burn in hell? He said that. So-called Christian. He calls himself a Christian man. Any of you heard of that story? That's real life. We're talking real life here, Miss Paul. Not no mumbo jumbo. This is real life. Nobody heard that story but me? Well, this is Australia. Famous football player down there. Rugby player. He goes on the news media and says all homosexuals are going to burn in hell. Christian man, by the way. For those of you who stand and uplift the Christian cross and you carrying the cross down the interstate. Christian man, by the way. Christian man. So anyway, needless News to say that, his team sacked him. They sacked him behind that statement. And this wasn't his first time. He had several warnings about making these kind of statements, passing judgment. See, that's one of the biggest things that religion is going to do. It's going to make you judge, and it's going to cause division. Do you see the formula here played out before you? You see, because they don't want to break their mold. They want you to conform to their mold, or you're not a part of them. You're outside of their mold, and you're seen as an outcast. You're a transgressor. You're a sinner. You're going to hell, and you're going to burn in hell. Because you don't fit the mold. And Hakoin will tell you is that I've been a watcher and a witness to many people that come through here that had a problem with that same thing. Same gender people. Is that they're quick to condemn these people and not embrace and accept these people and let them choose the life that they want to choose for themselves and write their own script. But no, they're here to make them conform. And so they're not here with us this day. They're not part of Forever Israel this day. Oh no, he sided with those people that are same gender. He did not know that the Bible said that they're going to. Well, hey, I'm not here to pass judgment on these people. If they're happy and they're living their life, Baruch Hashem, I say Baruch Hashem.
Most of the casual traders are making up to $2,000 per week trading our money in the market.
I'm not here to pass judgment on them, telling them they all going to hell, handbasket. No. You got the wrong man here. You got the wrong rabbi. But I guarantee you go to an Orthodox Jewish rabbi, and they'll have a total different take on what I'm just talking about. Amongst other leaders, you may go to some pastors as well. Total different takes. Insensitive. So you'll see division amongst these so-called religious people. Because they're just religious. Not so-called, they are. They're religious people. Religion. Then you'll see them wanting to pass judgment. And then you'll see them in disbelief. Yet they say they believe, but they in disbelief. Verse 18 again, and the Yahudim did not believe concerning him that he had been blind and received his sight until they called parents of him that had received his sight. And they asked him, saying in verse 19, is this your son, who you say was born blind? How then does he now see? His parents answered them and said, we know that that this is our son, and that he was born blind. But by what means he now sees, we do not know. Or who has opened his eyes? We do not know. He is old enough. Ask him. He shall speak for himself. For the words of his parents, because they fear that the Yahudim, for the Yahudim had agreed already that if any man do confess that he was Messiah, he should be put out of the Kolah. So you see outcasting again, because you don't meet the because you don't follow traditional standard or how they perceive things as a man, then you're going to be put outside of the camp. Therefore, look at verse 23. Therefore said his parents, he is old enough, ask him. Then again called they the man that was blind, and said to him, give Elohim the praise. We know that this man, give Elohim the praise. We know that this man is a transgressor. Oh my goodness. Here they go again. That's what you're going to get for religion. Verse 25. And he answered and said, whether he is a transgressor or not, I know not. One thing I know, that is, whereas I was blind, but now I see. Then said they to him again, what did he do to you? How did he open your eyes? You see, Christianity, religion, they're always going to have these whats and hows and how. You see, again, The man sees now. Let's rejoice, give thanks, give praise to the God of Israel, the creator of the heavens and the universes, that this man can now see. Let's celebrate in his victory. Let's celebrate in his miracle. But no, they don't want to do that. 27. He answers them, I have told you already, and you do not hear. Listen to what he says. This man has so much wisdom. This man has just received a miracle. Listen to his wisdom. He said, I've told you already, you do not hear. Wherefore would you hear it again? Would you also want me to be? Do you also want to be his disciples? His disciples? Let me see. Verse 28. Then they reviled him and said, you are his disciples. You are his disciples, but we are Musa's disciples. Here it goes. Here it goes. This is 2019 in 3D living color. Then they reviled him. You see, now they revile in the man that received the greatest miracle of being able to see, that was once blind, and said, you are his disciples, but we are Moshe's. We are Moses' disciples. We are Musa's disciples. We know that Elohim spoke to Moshe, to Moses. As for this fellow, we know not from where he is. And the man answered and said to them, why therein is a marvelous thing, that you know not from where he is, and yet he has opened my eyes. Wow, listen to this man. Look at verse 31. Now we know that Elohim does not hear transgressors, but if any man is a praiser of Elohim and does his will, he hears him. Since the world began, has it ever been heard that a man opened his eyes of one that was born blind? Of this man were not, if this man were not of Elohim, he could not do anything. They answered and said to him, you were completely born in sinfulness, and yet you presume to teach us? I was telling you. Again, religion. You were completely born in sinfulness, and yet you presume to teach us. And they cast him out. Listen, look at verse 35. Yeshua heard that they had cast him out. And when he found him, he said to him, do you believe on the Son of Man? And he answered and said, who is he, Master, that I might believe on him? And Yeshua said to him, you have both seen him, and it is he that talks with you. And he said, Master, I believe, and bowed before him. And Yeshua said, for judgment I come into this world, that they which do not see might see, and they which see might be made blind. Listen to what the Master Yeshua says again in verse 39. And Yeshua said, for judgment I come into this world, that they which do not see might see, and they which might see, be made blind. Do you see that? Do you see that prophecy? Do you see it happening today before our very eyes? You have to be able to make mud to truly see. Yet those that think they see today, I'm looking at this. Look at all religions. I throw Judaism in there as well, because that's a religion. If you look at all of them, who truly is blind this day, and who truly sees? For judgment I come into this world. The Master Yeshua came into this world as the Messiah to bring judgment, to kind of clean up the conditioning, to break the mold, to break the status quo, break those molds, so that people might see. you and I, so that we can truly see. I had to come out of, Hades mumbo jumbo to be able to see. To break that mold. I broke that mold of religion. I had to, so I could be able to truly see. Otherwise, I would still be blind. And even the Master Yeshua's disciples had to do it as well. See, they had a mode of thinking, well, okay, who's the sinner? Is it this man or is it his parents? Who's sinning here? Why this man had to be born blind? I mean, who's the sinner here? The Master Yeshua said neither. Look at verse 40 of John chapter 9. And some of the Pharisees which were with him heard these words and said to him, Are we blind also? Yeshua said to them, if you were blind, listen to what he says. If you were blind, you should have no sin. If you were blind, you should have no sin. But now you say, do you see? Do you see the understanding? Do you see the wisdom in that? Do you see the instruction in that? You see, those that are quick to pass judgment and think that they see the law, they see the world for what it really is, they have no clue. They're literally blind. It's like a reverse principle here. The more you say you see, the more you're blind. And remain in your sin. You see? Because you never see. You're too busy seeing that you don't see. Wow. That's heavy. That's some heavy stuff there, Mr. Hall. What do we learn from this miracle that the Master performed here? There's many great principles, much great understanding of gleaned from this whole process, from this whole situation here. One of the key factors is that you have to make your clay. You must make your clay. You must be able to mold. You must break these molds that you have established already in your life that seemingly thus far got you nowhere. So you must begin to mold. You must make spittle. You must make clay. The man said that the Master Yeshua, he made clay and he put it on my eyes. And now I can see. You must begin to make clay. You want a miracle? I want many miracles. I want to live a life of miracles. I want my life to be of miracles. Not just a miracle. Many miracles. That's infinite abundance. Desires met, desires fulfilled, dreams met, wishes fulfilled. All of these things I desire for all of you as well. As you write your scripts. But again, you must make yourselves. You're made, but you must begin to mold that making of yourself. You must begin to mold it to see the miracle. You must begin to mold it to see the manifestation. Techniques of molding have already been described to you. They've already been taught to you. The instruction is already there. Now comes the application. You must diligently do these things. Mold your world as you want it to be. Mold your life as you want it to be. You make it or you break it. It's you that you have that control. You've been given unlimited power to do these things. You've been given dominion over this earth. You've been given the power to do those necessary things that you want, that you desire for yourself. That makes you happy. That gives you peace. That brings you joy. What are those things? You have to ask yourself that question. Begin to mold those things. And then you'll see the miracle. In your molding, you already see it. The miracle's already happened. Okay, if that's what you think, you roll on with your understanding. But this is real life. You can call it New Age. You could put whatever a name you want on it, but this is just real life. Call it nonsense. See what it does for you. See where your life is now. So again, this is what you must understand. Call it New Age, Old Age, it doesn't matter. But at the end of the day, I'm going to roll with what works. Christianity, religion didn't work for me. I don't know if it worked for you guys, but it didn't work for me. And if it's working for you, hey, I wish you best endeavors. People, we've been put on this earth. The earth, Mother Earth, is filled with material. What makes you think you can't have that material in your life as well? You're part of Mother Earth. Now, your material may not be my material, but you should want material. You should want miracles. You should want manifestation in your life every day. And if you don't, you need to make that part of your default settings and break those old molds. You mold what you make, and you make what you mold. What you've been molding, that's before you right now. That's before you right now. You don't like it? Break those molds and then remold. Cast you some new molds for yourself. That's your script that you write. It's your affirmations. That you're casting new molds. And you're breaking those old molds that tell you, well, Mama said I'm only going to be this. My father said I'm not going to be, no, I can't be successful. You know, my mama said, I ain't going to keep me down. The pastor said I'm a sinner and I'm going to hell. You see how they molding you? Do you see how the Master Yeshua in dealing with the Pharisees? Now, not all the Pharisees were on board. Some of them said, no, look, if the man did this miracle, then God got to be somewhere in there. Oh, no. Then that caused division. Oh, you can put whatever title you want to put on it, New Age, it doesn't matter to me. I don't care what you call it. This is the perfect law at work. This is reality to me, real. This, I don't have time for New Age, Old Age, none of that age. I want real. That's what I want. I want real. I want work. What works? What good is it to have that Maserati sitting in the driveway, but it don't work? Rabbi Zechariah, you can't start it, but it looks good in the driveway. What good is that? You're complete, but what good if you don't produce? You don't manufacture. You don't what good is it? This is people that miss the mark. The God made you. You're complete. You're whole. Now what do you do with it? Rabbi Yeshua, he gave several stories, or what you call parables about that. You're a complete investment. What are you doing with yourself? How did you invest yourself? You take yourself like yourself? Or did you take yourself and multiply yourself and mass produce yourself and manifest and create and bring in miracles and attract things? You see? Who is the sinner at the end of the day? You see? Think about it. Think about that for a minute. So on that note, we'll wrap it up on this end over here and we'll leave it open for any questions. You are what you make. You mold what you make and you make what you mold. Meditate on that this week and it really help you. Understand what you need to be doing and how you need to go about doing it. The information is there. The instruction is already laid out. You've got the blueprint. Now, what is the build? Beautiful, isn't it? You have the blueprint. Now, what are you going to build? The blueprint is perfect. It's complete. Now, build something. What do you want to build? So, on that note, I'll leave it up to you all to create what you want to create. Do what you want to do. Meet your desires. Mold. Make, because you're made, mold, and then watch the miracle come. Because it's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. So on that note, we'll wrap it up. I wish you all a great Shabbat, a great 6 days of labor ahead. Enjoy your time of festival time if you're still in it, and keep it moving. Keep it moving forward, Mishpah. Keep motivating yourself to manifest. Keep motivating yourself to create. Have a wonderful life. Have a wonderful, wonderful life of infinite abundance. Make this life beautiful. Make it beautiful. And leave a positive mark, positive energy on this world. And my goodness, you've done your part then. Be happy, be happy, be joyous, be lovable, be loved and be loved, and be at peace. And what else is there at the end of the day? That's it in a nutshell. It's that beautiful. And that simple as well. So on that note, we'll wrap it up. We'll turn it back over to HaKohen for any further instruction. We'll close up the room. But you all have a great Shabbat. Enjoy your families. enjoy your time and rest. And remember who you are. Always. If you don't know who you are, mold who you are.
Toda for that, Rabbi Kefa. Yeah, that was a great lecture. Okay, before we close the room, is there any questions that arise from today's lecture? Eddie is saying that I know we can cook on the Shabbat. Can we also light candles in the home on Shabbat? That's a very good question, Eddie. Cooking is allowed, and in light of the cooking, then lighting a menorah, which is similar to lighting a candle, would also be permitted. It's part of the same deal. Because, in the ancient times, you will not be lighting candles, you'll be lighting a menorah. So, put oil in there and you'll be lighting a menorah. Luxury class, you want to speak? Yeah, go ahead. I'll give you the mic.
Thank you, sir, for allowing me to ask a quick question, or maybe some counsel. So where I struggle with, and it's my fault, I take 100% responsibility, is that I get restless sometimes. I enjoy this Shabbat, and I know that when I keep it properly, it's so refreshing and it's wonderful. My problem is I get restless, and sometimes I choose to pick up my dumbbells. Stupid me. I understand that, but that would be considered, I would say, work. I mean, it is working out. I mean, obviously. Any counsel on how to fix that problem, or is it a violation, or sometimes I will go outside and go for a walk. I mean, a nice little, maybe just a quick little jog or something. I just get restless sometimes. Just I'm high energy, and that's where I struggle with. So if you have any counsel on that, I'd appreciate it. And I appreciate straight talk. That's how I am. Appreciate your advice on the matter. Thank you.
Yeah, luxury class, thanks for the question. I would advise, number one, first thing for restlessness is that you do meditation in the morning when you get up. It's the first thing that you should do. We provided several tracks on meditation to ground yourself, to meditate, to heal yourself, to have chakra cleaning done daily, and to neutralize yourself. Now, you don't have to do the neutralize every day, but the chakra cleaning should be done daily. As for picking up dumbbells, or punching a bag, or going for a walk, all of that is fine and dandy. It doesn't come in the array of work. Work means when you go out to earn money to pay for bills. That's work. So, when you're picking up your dumbbell, you're not working. That's not work. When you're punching a bag, that's not working. You're not getting paid for punching a bag. Anything that you do outside of paid is not counted as work. So it's very straightforward. Torah isn't, it makes it very black and white. Work means work, and unfortunately, majority of the rabbis, they made everything work, which wasn't work. So therefore, we do not agree on that, and we don't follow those rabbinic principles which are an act violation with the Torah. That's right. So if you don't buy or sell, that would be considered trade. You don't do that, then you're fine. You're not buying, selling corn, wheat. What would happen in ancient times? People would produce corn, wheat, crops, sheep, animals. They will sell those. The version of that today is horses, donkeys. What is it? Cars. Selling cars, computers, etc. That's work. You're not doing that, so you're not working. It's perfectly fine. Whatever exercise you do, it's perfectly fine. You're allowed to do it. Any other questions? Okay, so no other questions. Yemisia saying, for karma, do we need to shave our hair and get a haircut? No, not really, Yemisia. That's nothing to do with karma. That's your personal preference, personal choice. I would discourage a beard that goes to your stomach, like Taliban. I would discourage that, because that just doesn't, that's just going to make you look wrong in the public eye. But other than that, if you want to keep a beard, that's up to you. You can do so. Olivia D, that's a very good question. If you have a business that makes money online, you've got no worries about that, because that runs itself. You're not running it as such. You're not actually physically going there and saying, well, today I'm going to change my prices on the products, and today I'm going to give a discount. Unless you're doing that, then that could consider work. If you're going to change the prices, you're going to offer a sale today and you did it on the Sabbath, then yes. But if you change the prices yesterday and you were offering a discount 10% yesterday, then it's not considered work. The latest edition on the Hidden Truths of Brit Scroll is the 7th edition, the Wow edition. Is available on Amazon. So beware that during the festival you're allowed to cook, during the Sabbath you're allowed to cook. Is absolutely no problem as long as the cooking is within the parameters of eating to live, eating to survive. That's the parameters. But outside of that, I mean, people can cook to sell, then that would probably constitute as work. So that would not be permitted. That is right. That would be the Hebrew Scriptures, the Old Testament and the New Testament together, a complete Bible. So that is fine. Okay, I think we are pretty much done. Anybody else with any questions? Yeah, we do luxury class. There is an NT as well on its own. Yeah, you can purchase it. It's in the bigger text format. Look for the Brit Chadasha. Search for Brit Chadasha, and you will find that on Amazon under the Hidden Truths of Brit Scrolls. There's a Torah, there's a Brit Chadasha, which is the NT, and there's a complete. All three are there. I just recently purchased a complete Bible, and I wanted to see that it was all okay and there wasn't any stretching or text being cut off, and it's beautiful. I really like it. It's just absolutely beautiful. Beautiful book. They've done a real great job. I really like the paper they use for the print. Real nice paper as well. So I'd highly encourage get yourself a copy of if you want to study the NT more, then get the copy of the NT. If you want to study the Old Testament side, then get complete. Okay, so with that, I'll wish you all a happy Passover, and those of you celebrating Easter, happy Easter to you guys, and celebrate with your families whatever celebrations that you do. I'm pretty sure that some of your families celebrate Easter. Tomorrow is Easter Sunday, and while the same time as Passover. So have a great time with your families. Enjoy yourselves. We'll see you next week on the Shabbat. Todah, Shabbat Shalom, and Shalom Shalom.